Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Play the Tape. I am your host, Derek J. Fields. Listen, full disclaimer, you know I have to do it. I'm getting better at it. Listen, we are not licensed clinical therapists or licensed social workers or certified drug and alcohol counselors, but they will and have been on the show. What Play the Tape is a platform of community support and advocacy for those who suffer from mental health conditions and substance use. And here we come up here to share our experience, strength, and hope to let people know that recovery is possible. So, my guest today is my brother. He was very sweet to me and very generous to me when I came into the sober living house, the Oxford House, there in Virginia, and I appreciated him for that. He's someone that I admire and I look up to, and his story is phenomenal. I've only gotten snippets of it as us passing when we were living together, and I wanted my brother to come up here today to share his experience, strength, and hope, to be vulnerable as much as he can be, and share from his heart. So, my guest today, my brother Jesse, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, Derek? I'm good. I'm good.
Good. I just wherever, like we talked off air, wherever you want to start, whatever you want to share, that's on you. And so the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess I could start, where the drinking started, because like most people, I started at a young age. For me, it was 17. And looking back on it, like, I knew that, it, looking back on it, it was pretty clear that alcohol was going to be an issue, because when I first started, I was at a summer camp and there was these employees. They got some beers, and I remember the first time like I consumed it, like I had that feeling, like I had the beer. It tasted like crap, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
the feeling came over me, and I just chugged it. And then after that, they were like, "Okay, have another one." And I just remember like the feeling of like, the anxiety going away, and then like it was just fun and this and that. And it kind of just started this snowball effect, like these beliefs of like I needed it to kind of fit in with people, and to I was more fun when I drank. I wasn't as nervous around people, and so it kind of became like a necessity I needed when I went to parties and stuff. Um, and even early on, like going to those things, I would like pretty much drink to a blackout state, like, and it was funny. Like there was one time, probably a year or so later, that I decided I was not going to drink at this party so I could remember it, because I wouldn't remember the parties. And it was one of the cooler parties because I actually got to see other people do stupid stuff like me. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I've been there. They'd be like, I'm gonna be on the outside looking in this time. Yes.
yeah, yeah. It was fun. But I didn't do that often. I liked partaking too much. And Yeah, and mostly during the summer, like in between college, I would do that, and then college I was good, and um, and then eventually it kind of seeped into college, especially when I moved off campus, like, and was able to have like my own apartment and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and of course, I would hang around people that kind of enabled it or drank like I did. Um, and Of course, like when I was in college, drugs came in to play too, like marijuana and stuff. Pretty much anything that would change me or make whatever thoughts or uncomfortable feelings go away, like I would do it. And that was fun. Like I had fun with it. I'd black out, but I was around people that whatever. And then it kind of became an issue to the point where I kind of made it a priority to kind of get messed up over going to class. And so I
Mm-hmm.
missed some days of class, and then a couple of days turned into a week, and then a week turned into 2 weeks. And in my head, I'm like, well, it'd be really embarrassing if I went back, after not being there for 2 weeks. So I'm just not going to go back. And so it ended up being this thing where I just stopped going to class. And so I lost my scholarships and, uh, I lost my scholarships and failed all these classes. And I was at this point where I could continue another year and try to make up these classes out of pocket. I mean, I was already in debt because I had to pay back the scholarships that I lost. Because there was like a stipulation where I had to teach for a certain amount of time
Mm-hmm.
but of course I didn't do that. So I was kind of like, I didn't know what to do. So I was like, you know, at the time I wanted, I was like, I was joining the military, for like structure or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously I was lacking that at the time. Um, and yeah, that was true. But like, looking back on it, I have a very bad, or not a bad habit, but I tend to like, rather than confront problems, I tend to run away from them. And this was my way of running away from that, by joining the military. Yeah, I mean, it did help me, because I did join the Coast Guard, and it kind of helped me get back on track, like financially and everything. But um, the drinking didn't stop. I went to boot camp. My first unit out of boot camp um, was Homer, Alaska. And once I got comfortable with people, of course, we do the port calls,
Mm-hmm.
and I would go to, and that's where it kind of, the the isolating drinking started
What's
taking.
what's the time frame from 17 to where you're
Oh,
talking?
okay. I joined in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that was so I was in Alaska probably about 2016, 17.
Okay. And
I was,
college was in there too.
no, college was from when I was like um 18 to like 24 ish,
Okay.
on there. I went to college for like 5 years. Um, and then I joined when I was about 25
Okay.
in the
Okay.
Coast Guard. Yeah.
Got you. Okay.
Um,
So the drinking started
but
to
yeah,
escalate more as y'all would go to ports and
yeah. And I got super depressed in Alaska because I was away from people, and nobody would come visit me there, of course. And I'd use the drinking to kind of numb all that. And yeah, there was a couple of things that happened. So I'll make this brief. It's like a brief little. I think it's funny, but
okay.
so there's like this apartment housing in Alaska. Like it's an apartment, but it's military housing,
Mm-hmm.
and the room I go into has sheets on it from the previous person. And I'm like, gross. So I ball up all the sheets and I put it under like in a corner somewhere in the room till I figure out what to do with it. And then one night when I'm like drinking by myself because everybody else went to bed or whatever, like I get it, and it's like already snow and stuff on the ground. I get it in my head that I'm gonna burn these sheets. So I take, uh,
Okay.
yeah, of course, yeah, I'm definitely drunk. So right outside the apartment, I put it in a pile and burn it, and I'm just like watching it and drinking. And I don't know how anybody didn't wake up during all that, but we go back to the boat the next day, and I kind of remember what I did. I'm hungover, of course. And the chief pulls all the non-rates in and is like, somebody burned something last night, because it was like a burn mark, like on the grass, I guess. And I immediately, fessed up, and so like that started this whole thing where they were like, okay, well, you're going to have to do like an alcohol program, which was just like an online thing. It wasn't like going to treatment or anything. So I did that, kind of got a slap on the wrist, nothing. And after I was done with that and had to have like a month or two of not drinking, went right back to it, you know, um, and then went from there after I was able, because you to become I had to put my name on a list and have a waiting period before I went to this A school for uh, aviation in the Coast Guard.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was in Elizabeth City. Of course, definitely drank there, especially in our off time. Um, uh, Definitely many things I could get into, but like the night before our graduation, I got so blacked out that people had to like carry me to the back to our barracks or whatever. And I think I said some things that like upset people. To this day, I don't know what I said. I didn't really want to know because I was embarrassed. But like, there's yeah, it was very awkward at graduation, but nobody told on me or anything. So I mean, I graduated and it was very awkward. And so like, and then I went to Bob, Alabama, and it continued to where I would go to these parties and get blackout and probably embarrass myself. And it got to this point where I got so much anxiety and shame from blacking out all the time and not knowing what I did and people talking about it and kind of looking at me a certain way that um, I thought it was best. I would just drink. I drink by myself.
Did anybody ever confront you in a healthy way? Any commanders, any leaders, anybody that would be like, okay, Jesse, there's you might need to think about talking to someone at this time, because would anybody ever come to you like that? Anybody in your chain of command?
Um, not like that. No. Not at this point in time.
Would you have
Uh,
been receptive to it if they did? I mean, in that moment, you look back at it now and be like, of course, that in my recovery to this day, yes, maybe, but in the midst of it, would you have been receptive to that type of? Because
at that moment in time, no, because I think I was still kind of in like a denial state of,
mm-hmm.
you know, I can go a week or two without drinking. So, I mean, obviously I don't have a problem.
Yeah, you even went the month too. That month you had
Yeah.
talked about in that program, not
Yeah.
necessarily treatment, but you also went 30 days. So yeah, I could see how going a week or two, going a month or two, okay, there's not necessarily the problem. I do want to get back to when you was in Alabama, but I want to go back prior to 17 real quick. Was there anything, if you want to share, and I tell that all my guests, it's up to you what you want to share. And I feel like that's very important because some people aren't ready to share everything, and that's okay. And I just want to ask, was there anything up to 17 that led to the anxiety or the depression, or that made you want to drink and party and black out to escape or to numb? Was there anything in your childhood or your preteens or anything like that, young adolescence, that made you want to, once you had that first sip at 17, even though it was disgusting? And I know because I had my first sip at 6 or 7 and it was just horrible. Uh, but was there anything leading up to, okay, I've taken my first drink at 17, I'm gonna chug it, I like this feeling? Was there anything that led up to that was a spark for that prior to 17?
I would say so. I haven't like gotten too deep into it, and
Okay.
sometimes I like to think about it from like a different point of view. And um, so my parents divorced when I was 8 years old, and going back and forth between them, and from going to treatment and stuff and talking to counselors, like there was like an abandonment issue in
Mm-hmm.
there. especially with like romantic relationships in my life too. So like it's kind of like a pattern of like I don't like being rejected or abandoned, and there's probably some form of that happened when I was a kid. And so I think looking back on it, like if I'm putting on like a therapist hat or whatever, that that belief early on when I started drinking that I was more fun and people liked me when I drank, um, kind of fueled it because I needed to be fun and liked, because if I wasn't, then they would leave me or
Mm.
abandon me. So like it kind of, I think it kind of fueled that belief that this would help people stay, in a way.
I get that. I get that. And it was the same for me. I used, because I was very, as a kid too, just I didn't feel like I fit in, and there was a lot of trauma in the household. Loving parents, but still there was a lot of trauma in the household. And I used humor. I used rebellion. I used pornography and masturbation to control my environment, and that took me into sexual exploitations. So I get that, because I like you, I I I didn't fit in. I thought I had to be the class clown, or the humor guy, or the funny guy, the comedian, the comic. And as I look back on it, like putting on my therapist hat, even though this isn't therapy, but as we've been in treatment, we've learned layers about ourselves that we had to peel back in therapy. And I'm with you. I'm right there. So understanding that the alcohol and the drug use is a way to fit in. And I get that. Me too. So now moving back to Alabama, you're in Alabama. Continue on that line, that storyline right there. Now that we're in Alabama, what was going on? Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like the anxiety got worse and everything because I was, blacking out and embarrassing myself. Um, so it wasn't working in the way that it started, to where I was using it to fit in, because now it was making it to where I wasn't really fitting in.
Mm,
Nobody really drank like me, and I liked getting messed up to kind of, you know, because at this point I went through relationships that have kind of built this like core like resentment and like feelings that I was wanting to use it to numb out, um, or not feel or feel different,
yeah.
and so I'd isolate and do that, and it got to the point, I don't know, it got to this weird point where like I drank so much, it actually made it to where, at least on this one instance, I got more depressed and sad, and ended up in a drunken state. Was just like, holy crap, I got a problem or whatever. And so I called my supervisor and told him. And then like the next day, um, they were like, all right, well, this is like a self referral. We'll send you. So they sent me to, I may I may be pronouncing this wrong. Navier, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
This place called 12 Oaks. So I went there for a 30-day program. Um, it was good. It was good. It was by the beach, so it was cool. Um, um, got out of there. Um,
Was that your first stint in treatment?
it was,
Okay.
yeah. And I kind of came to terms that I was an alcoholic at that point, like, because I knew, all the stuff that's happened. But I got out and started going to meetings and had this weird belief. I was just like, well, this is making me think about drinking more. Like these are stupid. Like, and so I didn't do the meetings or any other thing that they wanted me to do. And at this point, I needed to do that stuff because I needed a waiver to fly, because it's a mental disorder. So in order to fly, you need some kind of waiver or whatever. But I don't know. There's some kind of, yeah. But probably no more than a year later, it was like, I'm fuzzy on the dates of those, but like no more than a year later, I go back to it again. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure this is what happened. So I go to
Yeah,
my friend.
I have those too.
Yeah,
I have those too. I'm like, maybe this was 3 years ago. Maybe it was two.
it was so
Maybe.
long ago. Uh,
Yeah.
my, yeah, it was it. Yeah.
What in that year? Excuse me. In that year, were you sober that whole time in that year, or
Oh,
was it
it was like probably six. Yeah, it was like 6 months. Well, I would say probably 6 months. I don't. It definitely wasn't a year, but probably
okay?
about 6 months of like what they call dry sober, where you're not doing anything, you're not going to meetings, and it wasn't. I was. I mean, looking back, it was kind of miserable, because you just kind of, I guess, white knuckle it. I guess in a way. I mean,
Yeah.
and I might have sought out other ways to get messed up. I won't go into that, but I was like, well, it's not alcohol, so it's fine. Um, yeah, but yeah, I was at my friend Tim's house, and I was leaving because we um, and he had like one of these drinks called like ice or something. It was like
I remember ice. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
in his fridge, and he let me have one, and I was drinking it on the way back, and I was just like, I never had one. I was tasting it, and I was like, this has alcohol in it. I was just like, I had it. I was convinced it had alcohol in it. It didn't, but I was just like, well, I mean, I've already drank now. And then I was like, oh, my roommate has vodka in the garage. And it's just like,
Yeah.
what? And
Yes.
so a cycle started again. And so I had to go back second time. Um, this time when I got out, I took it more seriously.
Was the second time? Excuse me. Excuse me. Was the second time your choice again,
Yeah,
or okay?
yeah, yeah, it was. Um, uh, yeah, and I took it more seriously coming out, got involved, fortunately, found this really good group of people in AA, and they would do stuff outside of meetings, and I was excited to go to the meetings, and it was great. I was doing great, like year and a half of sobriety, like, step 12, like it was ideal, and like I loved these people.
What made you change? What
And
was
I had
the?
to
Uh,
move.
mhm.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. You said you had to move.
Yeah. Yeah. To answer your question, sorry. Um,
No, I was just what made you, because you said you took it was the second time you went into treatment and you took it differently this time. What was what made it different?
um, Coming to terms with the fact I needed like some kind of outside help rather
Hmm.
than, you know, yeah, I'm an alcoholic. I'm not going to go to meetings. I don't need other people's help. Coming to terms with like, yeah, I do need to go to these meetings and get help from these people because they know what they're doing.
It was
Like,
your mindset had to change.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
So you was with these people and they was doing outside things and this fellowship, and you said you had to move.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm in the Coast Guard, so frequently, so
Oh,
I did my 4.5 years in Mobile, Alabama, and uh, I mean,
so
yeah, it was
how
awesome,
so
but
how does that work with you're in the Coast Guard, you do move, you do have to do your time, your allotted time. You find a group of people that you're connecting with, that you're building a community with, a fellowship with. How does that's so interesting. That's like, how do you build this community? Of course you can now with with technology, of course you can FaceTime, you can Zoom, you can Google Meet and all that stuff, Messenger. But it ain't the same as being with someone one on one and being in these different events and different things that they have going on outside in the community. So how did that moving change that for you?
um,
Was it difficult?
Well, yeah, because like going from Mobile, Alabama, I went to Virginia here.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really know anybody. You lost your like kind of support network. Um, so you got to start from scratch. And for me, um, so before that, I was in
Mm-hmm.
California because I had to go to a different A school because I had to switch rates because they told me you either get out because I didn't get the waiver to fly. You either get out or switch rates. So I switched rates and went to California for 3 months to do that. During those 3 months, this was during COVID and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do meetings. Didn't talk. Didn't talk to a sponsor. Didn't do any recovery stuff. So I was away from all that for 3 months. Then I go to Virginia, like 3-4 months after my move, and I guess my addiction comes back, where it's like, well, nobody knows me here. There's no accountability. There's no, even the command has no idea about, um, what's going on with me. So like, it's like start from scratch, and so like, um, hanging out with my roommate at one point, not this current roommate, but a different one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I got it, and they were drinking like Hennessy or something, and I was just like, "Hey, make me one." And so they make me a drink, and that started that again. Because again, there's no accountability. I let those thoughts creep back in, and I started that cycle again, and did some drunk stupidness. I think I tried to make spaghetti without water, and it like smoked up the kitchen or something. I don't know. I don't know. But this person was not happy with me, and they ended up telling on me to the master chief, and he was just like, "Well, looks like you have a drinking problem, huh?" And in my head, I'm like, yeah."
I forgot
And
about that.
yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
I forgot about that. Yeah, yeah,
I thought I beat that thing.
yeah. Right.
Yeah,
That part. That part. I thought I beat it. I thought I beat it. Yeah. Had a
yeah.
lot of those. I thought I beat it. Yes.
Because I didn't drink at all in California, but cured. Um, uh, yeah. So and I was like, yeah, I think I need to go back to a residence. So I got a treatment here in a place called Farley,
Mm-hmm.
in Virginia. I go there. This was December of 2021, and I got out at the end of January 22. And then right out of there, I took it very seriously. Because it was my third time, and I was kind of just like, "Bro, what are you doing?" And so I had stuff set up when I left because I lost my place to stay. So I was like, ugh. So while I was there, I set up an interview for an Oxford house, um, and got into that. And so I went straight from there to the Oxford house, and that was a very good accountability for me. Of course, I hit the ground running with the recovery stuff. Um, I got a sponsor while I was in Farley too, so I met with him the day I got out. So I was doing everything right, um, and like I said, the Oxford House helped. And probably that fall ish, or no, the summer leading up in the fall. It was like June through August, 2 months. They sent me TDY. Um, I mean, now that I think about it, I mean, I went to a meeting like in Texas
Mm-hmm.
while I was on TDY and called my sponsor when I could, but you know, again, there was no super accountability there. Nobody knew I was an alcoholic on that boat, and there was alcohol all around me. I would hang out with them at places, yeah, but I didn't drink. That 2 months I was good, but I stopped calling my sponsor while we were out. I mean, we weren't in port that much, anyways. But when I got back, I I didn't call him or do anything. Um, I think it was like a month after I got back, and um, so we ended up. He didn't hold it against me, and so I got back into it some more. Um, let's see.
Is that accountability part? And I want to ask you because I know for me it's big.
Oh yeah,
It's big for I need accountability because for me I'm like you too. I can relate to the I think I beat it or I think I could do it different.
yeah,
That's what the beat it is. It's okay. So it's the accountability. I have to have that. It's the okay. I can beat it because I do it differently, or I
mm.
could do it differently. And but how important is accountability for you, Jesse, in your recovery? Because what I'm hearing is a similar story, and I can definitely relate to it. That I didn't have accountability, and I didn't want it, even if it was there. I beat it, or I could do it differently, or I'm gonna try something else. Uh, I don't want to try recovery right now. I don't want to sponsor. I don't want to go to meetings. I don't want to do these 12 steps. I don't want to have a therapist. I don't want to talk about and open up. But how important is accountability for your recovery? Because I seen that our stories are very similar with the whole accountability part.
it's very important because it's not more about it's not an if, but a when is my messed up thinking going to creep back in, and if I don't have like these measures to kind of defend against it, then I'll usually start believing them. So like with the Oxford House,
Mm-hmm.
it was a huge accountability because there were definitely points if I wasn't living there, if I was like at an apartment or whatever, I would drink. Like I specific I can't remember what exactly was going on, but like sometime in the fall, like I was really wanting to get messed up. But like I knew that if I did, I would get kicked out and I'd have to find a place. I didn't really want to, play the tape forward,
Yes, absolutely.
I didn't want to have to go through all that stress of trying to find a place and this and that. And so I was just like, ugh. And then that passed, and then like the next day, I was just like, I'm glad I didn't do that. But like in the moment, like I don't know.
I'm glad you said it passed. What do you mean it passed? When you play the tape forward or play the tape through, you that feeling of those thoughts passed is what you're saying?
Yeah, so like I kind of knew what would happen. I would maybe I'd get away with drinking, but eventually like I would get caught, and then I'd
Mm-hmm.
get kicked out, and then there'd be the shame and the guilt, and then there'd be the stress of trying to find a place to stay, and um because really I mean in my head, I was just like, yeah, I could drink and nobody would, but like they would find out somehow.
Right.
I would
It
probably
all it
something stupid drunk, or making some kind of noise.
yeah, some spaghetti or you go
Yeah.
burn. And
Yeah.
I'm not laughing. I'm laughing
Oh
because we
yeah.
can laugh at it now, right?
Yeah.
But that's how it does. I almost started a fire in my apartment trying to make try to cook crack cocaine, and I almost started a fire because I could do it. I seen it on TV.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like just I can laugh at it now, but I'm glad it didn't escalate and become something bigger, and I'm glad for that for
Oh,
you too. Yeah, but I appreciate you saying that you needed the accountability. I know I need it, and doing this helps me with that accountability. And I was there with you too, and I had thoughts and moments, and sometimes I would be in my room and I would cry because one the pride of, hey fellas, and sometimes I would talk to you, or I would talk to JJ, or I would talk to Brad, and I would talk to the fellas in the house, and be like, like sometimes it's a struggle, but sometimes I would be crying, and because it's just be those thoughts of coming back, and I knew I had to go make a meeting. I knew I had to go tell my sponsor. I knew that I had y'all there, and the same tape that I played, I didn't. I don't want to use. I want to use, but I don't want to use. Why? Because I know that it's going to be found out and I'm going to get kicked out and then I'm homeless again. I'm in my car. Then I got to come back and get all this stuff that I don't know what to do with that might not even fit because you acquire more stuff when you get into a sober living house, when you get into an Oxford house, you start to live again. You start to acquire things again and you start to live and grow. And I didn't want to get kicked out. I didn't want the shame and the guilt. Didn't have no place to go. So I'm with you. I had to play that tape all the way through as myself, and it passed. And I'm glad that you said that that passed. But it's not always going. Some may pass quicker than others, and some may take a while. Did you
Yeah.
ever experience those that took a while to pass? And in those intrusive thoughts, in those urges, what did you do?
Um. Well, I wanted to first like comment. Uh. Well, yeah, yeah. So like, I'm trying to put it into words. Words. Um. So like, for that instance, like the intrusive thought, you know, feeling these feelings because I was kind of messing around with a girl and um, having all these negative feelings. But yeah, you'd have this. I would have the thought of it'd be great to do this, but then I play it forward and all the consequences and this and that. What I think is interesting, at least in my experience, is I think about all these consequences, like yeah, I get kicked out and this and this and this. I never once I mean, I have a sponsor and everything. I never once think maybe I should tell my sponsor about this. Maybe I should talk to one of the guys at the house about how I'm feeling. Like I, I, I mean, even to this day, like I tend to have a bad habit of like internalizing everything and not, making myself vulnerable to other people in those kind of situations for whatever reason. And so like in a way I try to fix it myself by like I guess playing it forward is my way of doing that. Play it forward and it's like, well, I know what's going to happen. Yeah, probably shouldn't. And you can only do that so much before um the efforts kick in, to where it's like you play it for, because eventually, at least in my experience, you're going to play it forward and you know it's going to happen and you're like, I don't care.
Yeah,
You're just
yeah,
going to do it anyways.
yes.
And so that's where
Absolutely.
talking to somebody is like, I've got to start doing that.
Playing it forward for somebody else, playing it forward for
Yeah.
your brothers in the house or for your sponsor or for your support system that you have established. Absolutely. I'm with you. I have been to the point where I played the tape forward to the point where like, I don't care. Bump it. Let's do it. And then I had to take a step back, like you said, and become aware of I need to not only is so much I can play the tape forward to myself, I need to go play this tape for people that can give me loving critique and suggestion and just support, just listen, just being there and holding my hand, like, you know what, you want to go to a meeting? You want to read some literature? You want to go just shoot some hoops? You want to go for a run? Let's just do anything different that we change a muscle, change a thought. So I'm with you. I'm
Yeah.
with you wholeheartedly when there's so much, and that's just interesting. You just, man, you just help me think like there's only so much you can play to take for yourself that you have to take it to someone that you trust to get that loving suggestion or critique. Absolutely. I have a hard time doing that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I definitely have a hard time. But like, hey, Jesse, listen, because you don't want you don't want to come off as weak or like you're not like working your recovery program but all that takes is, hey, Jesse, I feel like using. Today is not a good day for me. These thoughts are coming in. I don't feel upbeat. I don't feel like working this program. And I played the tape so much to myself. I need to tell you. I need to tell you. So I think
Yeah,
that's something great that we need to know, that have those type of people that we can do that with.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, because it's a very vulnerable thing to do. So having those people is important.
It
When
is.
you're like, "Hey, I'm struggling. I need help." Like, I mean, we already suck at saying that, but like, having that person.
Do you
You,
have those people?
yes, yeah, I
Okay.
have people I can go to today that I can do it help me out. Sponsor. I go to these, like they call it intensive outpatient. It's only 10 weeks, but we meet Monday to 3 times a week and talk about stuff. For um, and of course people at meetings I've met. And the Farley alumni this go round, I hang out with them every week when we meet, and so like that's a good support group of people if I need it.
Good.
So
How has your recovery for in your experience and in where you are now, has relapse been a part of your story? And if it is, and if you want to share about it, how did you get up? How did you how do you continue to get up? Because I know in your story you've shared about plenty of times where you went to treatment and you were good for a little while. My story too. I've been to treatment, been good for a little while, I'm right back at it. Been to treatment, good for a little while, I'm right back at it. Where was it for Jesse that, okay, I got down, I can't stay down, and what did I learn from it? So
um, well, yeah, I relapsed multiple times, went to treatment multiple times. Even here with the Farley thing, did that, stayed in Oxford House for a year, moved out um, to an apartment, which I'm in now. And then I went TDY for a month in April, April-ish, yeah,
Aprilish.
of this year. And I was in Europe, one of the places being Amsterdam. Being in the military, you can't really have that much fun in Amsterdam with the marijuana and all that stuff.
Right.
They test for that.
Yes, they do.
Oh, believe me, I would get into it if I could. But so I was just like, again, nobody knew I was an alcoholic and this and that, and plus I had this all to myself. So I started back drinking again. And prior to that, I wasn't talking to my sponsor or doing meetings or any of that stuff. I was kind of just, I don't know, it, yeah. And so when I got back, like May 9th ish, I was, I just kept going with it. And my current roommate now, he got concerned, um, which I was mad at first, but like now I understand. Like he got concerned and brought it up to the Chiefs, and so I had to go back again. Um, uh, and relapse. I mean, sometimes it's necessary, and it kind of, it definitely affects your pride a lot. Where it's
Hmm.
like failure again. You know, um, and almost like people are judging you for it, but they're probably not. Um,
What did you learn this time that was different, or maybe the same? Because there's some times that I know for me in my experience, when I have relapsed, there is a parallel and there is a perpendicular where things intersect, but there's things that I learned that are side by side, or that they intersect. What for you did you take this time that you could take to add to your recovery, for prevention?
um, Trying to be like actually get more involved and kind of mirror, like kind of what I had in Mobile, Alabama, rather than just going like through the motions of like, all right, I've hit my third meeting this week. I've talked to my sponsor, 6 times. Okay, check, check, check. Just kind of doing all those things, and then not um, trying to actually like make it more of a lifestyle. Because like if it were up to me, if I could like sit in my room with the big book by myself and do the program, I would. Because I don't know. I'm but I knew this time like I had to do things differently. That being the IOP thing that I'm doing now. I didn't do that last time. I'm doing the alumni now. People that went through Farley, they go and talk to clients on Tuesday and answer questions and stuff. And after that, they go have dinner and talk and stuff. And that's actually where I met my sponsor, current sponsor now. And so just try to get more involved with them and kind of build like relationships, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um, to where, you know, I feel more comfortable like coming to people with those, you know, crazy thoughts or whatever. Um, and I guess like I learned that I got to keep as annoying as it is in the rooms when they're like do the next right thing or whatever. I do got to keep doing that because if I don't, I'll get out of it and kind of just go back to the same stuff. Um, and I got to be more vocal of problems rather than internalize them. Because like we were saying before, um, with the playing the tape forward, like if I let things build up to a certain point and don't talk about them, you know, the case of the efforts will come back and I'll just
Mm-hmm.
drink regardless.
Absolutely.
Because my problem, yeah, I have a drinking problem, but my actual problem is up here, like what's going on, like, and you know I use alcohol to fill like this void. I call it a void, temporary solution. And as it says in the book, we have a spiritual malady or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so being around people of like mind, and then, kind of staying in touch with that higher power that kind of fills that void or whatever, just doing all these things to get outside of myself, going to these alumni events, reaching out to a higher power, like doing things that's not me, really, really helps, and is a thing that I really needed to be more focused on this go round. Um, because when I'm doing those things, like it helps a lot in my recovery, especially the spiritual aspect of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you being vulnerable as you could be.
Yeah.
I really do. And I thank you for that. It,
Yeah.
it, I tell my guests all the time, I hope this is helpful because it helps me. Um, this is something that I do for my recovery as well, because I get to fellowship with like-minded people in mental health and substance use. Um, and that keeps me accountable because I get to hear stories like yours and previous guests and future guests that I can learn from, and I take something with, and it resonates with my spirit and it resonates with my mind and my heart. Like, okay, this disease is something to be respected, not feared, but respect. Have a healthy respect for, and there are things that we have to take in account and things that we have to do. I know for me, uh, the aid in my recovery. That's mental health and substance use, because I'm on both sides of the fence when it comes to that. The substance use is a symptom of my mental health. Um, so, uh, but we got about 3 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes, and I want to ask you and give me a couple things that you're grateful for. And the reason that I do this is because when I go to H&Is, when I go to the correctional or the detention centers or the hospitals or whatever institution that they ask me to come speak at and share my experience, strength, and hope, I always go around and tell people, give me two things that you're grateful for. Depending on the size of the group, sometimes it could be one. But it's a way to keep us grounded when those intrusive thoughts come back, when we're playing the tape all the way through, when we're playing the tape all the way for ourselves, when we have to go and get a battle buddy and that support system and play the tape forward for them. But we also have to have something that keeps us grounded. And that's the gratitude of looking at life half the glass half full instead of half empty, focusing on the blessings that we have, the support that we have, how far we've come in our recovery, but also how far we have to go. And it's an ongoing process. So for you, Jesse, and what are a couple things that you're grateful for that grounds you and holds you in your recovery and holds you accountable, something that you can hold on to when those thoughts come?
Well, of course, grateful for like my family and friends that that I have support from and their love and everything. Grateful for unconditional love of my higher power, which is something I look at as something that won't go away, can't run away from type deal, or it's always there. Especially in those times when I don't want to reach out to people, I can at least do that. So I'm grateful for that. Because in a sense, I'm never alone. You know,
Right, right.
I truly believe that. Grateful for I'm grateful for my job, because it's been way more than supportive as far as this whole thing. And grateful that, it's cliche. I'm grateful that I'm alive, because
Mm-hmm.
I've thought about it before, like there's many times where like, I don't know how I woke up, or didn't end up in jail for drunk driving, whatever. Grateful for AA, something out there,
Right.
and that's something I am working on, actually doing, like doing gratitude in the morning. I pray in the morning, but as far as like doing gratitude, it's definitely important.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
They both are. They both are. Yeah, I'm with you. I can relate to that. I know for
um,
me. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, it's just gonna be like a random thing. I can tell you after. It's
No, no. Go ahead. Go ahead. You're good. You're good.
when I was. You might find this interesting as well as your listeners, but one of the speakers at Farley, he was just like, he told us to make a gratitude list and like 5 things, whatever. And we all did it on a piece of paper. And he was like, all right, now in front of each of those, put, the F word,
Mm-hmm.
FUCK, like every single one of them. And we were just like, okay. And, or actually, no, he just had, I can't remember. But anyways, he said, put it in your wallet or somewhere. And the next time you're like in a store or somewhere where you're going to go use, take that out. And before you buy it, say, F my family, F my friends, F my job. Like, say it out loud because that's what you're doing. And I was like, dang, that's pretty powerful.
That is. That
Um,
is.
yeah. Because,
That
that's
is.
basically what you're doing. In a way. But,
Yeah, you're throwing it away. You're
yeah.
saying I don't care. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Right. Absolutely. That's very powerful. That's a very powerful tool. I know for me, of course, my high power, who I choose to call God. This
Hmm.
platform, I play the tape, my family, humor, just shelter, food, a hot shower. I always say recovery is inspirational change moving forward, and it looks different for everybody. Like I know for me, even going to help my dad cut grass is something that I'm grateful for. Going to go get some sun on my face. So I'm with you with that. And again, Jesse, listen, I love you, brother, and I thank you for being here. You got my number if you and I got yours. Listen, use it. I'll use yours if you ever need to play that tape all the way through or play that tape forward. You got somebody here, and I definitely would do the same. And I'm very grateful that you're up here doing the show and sharing your experience, strength, and hope in your testimony today. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem, Derek. It was good to be here.
Absolutely. And I'll let you know when your episode comes out and when I drop it and when it's published and everything like that. And then, yeah, listen, I love you. You take care. You be blessed. Until next time, I'll talk to you soon. All
All
right,
right,
peace.
man.
Absolutely. That's what we do, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode, another track has been completed. Oh, man. Again, thank you to my brother and my guest, Jesse. I really appreciate that. Really appreciate him coming up here and being vulnerable. It's this journey of recovery is going to look different for everyone, and it is. And some people relapse is not a part of their story, and like me and Jesse and some of my other guests, relapse is a part of our story, and it's okay. It's okay if you went back out there and you didn't find anything different because there isn't anything different. Just thankful that you came back. I'm thankful that my brother came back. I'm thankful that I came back. And me and my brother Jesse have come back a few times. Just wasn't one time. We've come back a lot. But listen, with understanding comes peace. With peace comes love. With love comes hope. With hope comes faith. And with faith comes recovery. There are people that are jumping that pit with you because they know the way out. I can't. We can. I love you. We love you. Most importantly, God loves you. Until next